You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
You are watching the leaders in full immersion gaming, and this is the pregame show only on the NBL Network.
Championship week continues here on NBL Live as we've already had one spot in the Super Bowl filled. We're going to find out who's going to fill that second spot tonight with the NFC Championship game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings. But before we get to that, we have, as always, our NBL Live pregame show that's brought to you each and every week by our graphic sponsor. That's web3ks.com. They do the overlay here on NBL Live, a ton of other graphics for us across the entire network. If you see a graphic here on the NBL Network, it's probably been touched by web3ks.com. So if you or anyone you know needs graphics done for an affordable price, head over to web3ks.com. They're the leaders in affordable graphic design. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks, for part 2 of Championship Week. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out with my man, Sonny Weaver. And Sonny, we're not going to talk about it long, but I think everybody in the NBL is just wondering, are you doing okay over there?
No comment.
Got it. That's fair. No, that's fair. Completely understandable. We got a great game on tap today between the Seahawks and the Vikings. Before we get there, let's let you know about what's going on around the network. And coming out tonight, it might have already come out. I'm not completely sure, but that BTF Detroit Lions coming out. I think it may be coming out late tonight. I'm not really sure. Bomber pretty much does what he does. He puts it out there when he sees fit. He knows what he's doing with that show. But Sonny, I've seen the thumbnail that we're showing right now. David Johnson's up there. There might be some talk about David Johnson, who's going to be testing free agency. Maybe the Detroit Lions are interested in that running back.
Yeah, you know, I watched the episode here before we got on this show, and what I'm wondering is this an elaborate smokescreen by the Detroit Lions to try to get people to bid on him, think he really wants him, but really this is all distraction. There's someone else that maybe Detroit wants out there.
It actually is out right now, but don't switch over there yet. It's here on the network. It'll be here after the game. You don't want to miss this live game we got coming up, but check it out afterwards. It's a great show. Love the BTF Detroit Lions. Love what Bomber does with that show. All right, if you missed our game yesterday, you missed, well, I would say it was a doozy, but it turned into a snoozy by the end of it. The Pittsburgh Steelers end up just breaking out against the LA Chargers. They win 41-16. Le'Veon Bell, your play of the game, 11 carries, 108 yards, and 1 touchdown. That touchdown right before the half really set the tone. Sonny, this Pittsburgh Steelers team, frankly, they've been the best team in the AFC. They've possibly been the best team in the NBL the entire season. They didn't let up yesterday. It was a close game in the first half, but at the end of the day, the machine that was Ben Roethlisberger and with his running back Le'Veon Bell, they ended up just running away with this one.
Yeah, and what you saw there was the power of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've talked about it before. When they are clicking on all cylinders, they are a very tough team to beat. What's interesting, when I look at these two teams in NFC, and I think who's going to match up better, I actually lean more towards the Seattle Seahawks. In my experience here playing Pittsburgh, the way you beat Pittsburgh is you get to Ben Roethlisberger, and I think really the Seahawks have the defensive line to do that. I'm not sure the Vikings match up quite as well.
Let's take a look at the players to watch today, and both on the defensive side of the ball. First for the Seattle Seahawks, I mean, who else would it be but their emotional leader, Richard Sherman? He's having a great season, 48 tackles, deflecting 13 passes, only 2 interceptions, but as you can see with that pass deflection number, he's usually on the number 1 wide receiver. He's affecting the ball. Even if he doesn't pick it off, he is finding a way to bat it down and affect the receiver getting the catch. And more than anything, Sonny, it's not about Richard Sherman's talent, and he's very talented, but it's more about the leadership and the emotional energy that he brings to this defense. He's what keeps the Seattle Seahawks defense pumping and rolling every day.
Yeah, Richard Sherman is the emotional leader to go along with the leader. He locks down one side of the field. He's getting up there in age, but he can still do it out there in Seattle. One thing to watch will be how he matches up with Stephon Diggs and the wide receiver core of the Minnesota Vikings. I think what you're going to be looking for with Sherman is to follow their best receiver around the field.
On the flip side, playing defense on the Minnesota Vikings, looking to stop the Seattle Seahawks passing attack is safety Harrison Smith, and he's having an unbelievable season. 10 interceptions, 73 tackles, 11 passes deflected. He's also forced 3 fumbles, and he has a half a sack. Harrison Smith, he plays all over the field, Sonny. You'll see him line up both at free safety and at strong safety. You'll see him come up to the line. You'll see him play deep. This guy is about as versatile as it gets here in the NBL.
He's a true center fielder, and that's what people need to understand. Harrison Smith is basically going to take away hash mark to hash mark. If you try to put it deep down the field, he is going to take it away from you. So when you're throwing, you've got to throw to the outside. They've got good cornerbacks on the outside. I wouldn't say they have great cornerbacks, but pre-play, pre-snap, Russell Wilson is going to have to find this guy, Harrison Smith.
All right, before we get your predictions, Sonny, I think that we got two interesting storylines here. For the Minnesota Vikings, I think this game is about proving that they're the real deal. This team that came out during the regular season, took away the NFC North from the Detroit Lions, proving that they're the real deal, proving they can get to the Super Bowl. Is it weird to say that maybe for the Seattle Seahawks, this is a little bit of redemption? I mean, I know this is the defending Super Bowl champion, but is it weird to say that the Seahawks are looking to fight off that moniker of a weak Super Bowl champion, get back to the Super Bowl, and prove that this isn't a weak team at all? Last year wasn't a fluke. We are the real deal, and we're here to stay.
Well, I think the Seattle Seahawks are an interesting situation. I think they matched up well with the Detroit Lions. We talked about that. They've got that secondary. They've got the defensive line. I'm not so sure they're going to match up well with these Minnesota Vikings. I think the Vikings are built to run. I think that pass rush will over-pursue. And I think Dalvin Cook's on his way to another big night. So watch out for the Vikings. I think, if I'm the Seahawks, I get the chip on your shoulder, but I'm not sure that's going to carry them so far tonight.
All right, well, let's put it on paper. It sounds like you're leaning towards the Vikings, but who do you like in this game? One spot in the Super Bowl is open. They're looking to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is it going to be the defending Super Bowl champions looking to go back-to-back, something that's so hard to do here in the NBL, or the Minnesota Vikings, who sort of came out of nowhere and took this NFC North away from the Detroit Lions and have sort of stormed their way through the playoffs? Are they going to get a chance to win a Super Bowl title, the first for owner Hop?
I would feel differently if I knew the running game of Seattle was going to travel well. I don't believe they will. I think there's some big missing components there that just aren't going to work out. So I will take the Minnesota Vikings tonight. I think Vikings do bottle up the running attack. Russell Wilson throws a couple interceptions, and the Vikings cruise behind Dalvin Cook. Let's go ahead and say 24-10 Vikings over the Seahawks.
Well, guys, get your predictions in the chat. We'd love to see what you guys think for this NFC Championship game. We'll read those throughout the first quarter, but it's time to get going. We got to fill out the Super Bowl and get ready for that tomorrow night. Coming up next, it's the NFC Championship game for the right to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the defending NBL Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks, facing off the champions of the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings. It's coming up right now here on NBL Live.
My name is Rex Dixon.
Craig Stein.
Clint from EA Sports.
You're watching NBL.
You're watching the NBL Network. And you're watching the MBLN Network.
Empty backfield for Atkins. He's been dropping back to pass here on fourth down. He's looking deep over the middle. He has a man. It's Brandon Cooks. Who catches it, makes a man miss.
Oh, that's
Woodard is dropping back. He's got open over the middle. It's
wow.
That big playmaker ability as he finds him again.
Into the end zone. Another touchdown. Championship week continues here on NBL Live. We've got the NFC Championship game. It is the defending Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks, facing off with the champions of the NFC North. That's the Minnesota Vikings for the right to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Season 27 Super Bowl. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out with my man, Sonny Weaver. Sonny, I think one of the big storylines in this game, and one of the reasons I think most of the people are counting out the Seattle Seahawks, is the fact that they don't have their workhorse running back, Thomas Rawls, or his backup running back, CJ Prosise. It's going to be Zach Zenner getting the majority of the carries for Seattle. How big of an effect will this have on this Seattle Seahawks team that was a top 5 rushing team but a fairly mediocre passing team?
Yeah, Zach Zenner, the halfback pretender, not putting a whole lot of faith in that man. He is a bruising back, but he lacks kind of that breakaway speed that the other two backs here in Seattle have. I think he's going to break some tackles. I'm just not sure he's going to be a game breaker like Seattle's going to need to win this.
Well, so do you think it is fair, Sonny, to say that the key player for Seattle Seahawks in this game is going to be the quarterback, Russell Wilson?
Well, of course, I think Russell Wilson's going to be the key player no matter what. Before it was going to be ball control. Now he's going to have to make some plays to go out and win this game.
1st and 10, the Seattle Seahawks getting to start off with the ball early in this game. 2 wide receivers over the left side, I formation, Zach Zenner at the top of that I. And on 1st and 10, Russell Wilson surveying the defense, this Minnesota Vikings defense that played so well, but struggled to stop the pass, playing in a division with the Detroit Lions that's bound to give up some yards. Zach Zenner will get 3 yards on the play, going to bring up a 2nd and 7.
Yeah, and they're going to key on the running attack still with Zach Zenner here in the backfield. They know that Seattle is planning is basically to try to play good, solid defense, not force any turnovers, and let Russell Wilson take his shots when he can. So Minnesota, look for a lot of stacked boxes here early in this game to see what Seattle does.
2nd and 7 now for the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson's going to break the huddle. He's got 2 tight ends on the right side of that formation, 2 wide receivers, 1 to each side. Zach Zenner in the backfield. Wilson under center here on a 2nd and 7, looking to get some early momentum for the Seattle Seahawks. On 2nd down, it's a play action pass. Wilson rolling out to the left side. Just going to dump this off underneath to the tight end. Not a whole lot there. In fact, there's actually nothing there. He's actually going to lose a yard on the play. The pressure was coming in his face. And at the end of the day, and that's a matchup we have to watch. This Minnesota Vikings defensive line is very aggressive. And if they get in Russell Wilson's face and they can get some pressure on him, it could be a bad day for Seattle.
In the other part of this, Seattle Seahawks,
don't call them names.
They may be the Seahawks. Is that boot play action? Watch for that throughout the game, but without a running attack, I'm not sure it's going to be effective.
3rd and 8 shotgun formation for Russell Wilson. 2 wide receivers over to the left side, 1 over to the right. Wilson changing up the play here on 3rd down. He's going to drop back to pass. 3 wide receivers over on that left side. Wilson dropping back, looking over to the right side. Has a man in the flat. It is complete, but nice job by Barr to get up there and make the tackle before he can get to the 1st down marker. It's only going to get a couple on the play. Going to bring up a 4th and 2. And Seattle offense needs to get going in this game. Minnesota's a high-powered offense. Not a great start going 3 and out.
Not good at all. And as pointed out by our very own Neil Wallace in the chat, the Vikings are running a containment with their outside pressure. Those defensive ends are working upfield and they're holding. They're not rushing too far. They're basically trying to keep Russell Wilson in the pocket, force him to be in with their arms. Now, Seattle has to notice that, and they got to know they've got time in the pocket if they stay in the pocket. Let those receivers work downfield.
Yeah, they absolutely have to make sure that they recognize that one, because if they keep running those bootlegs at the end of the day, it's going to turn into a disaster for the Seattle Seahawks team, because those defensive ends are going to stay wide as much as possible. Time to see this Minnesota offense, number 4 in the NBL. I formation for Teddy Bridgewater, Dalvin Cook at the top of that I, and they're going to give it to the big man, Dalvin Cook. He's having such an amazing season. He'll get up to the 23-yard line, 5 yards on the play, and Sonny, we've talked about Dalvin Cook, how good he is, how he's sort of in line possibly to take his first MVP award, and I think it comes down to the fact that he is a versatile back. Whether it's bruising up the middle or going outside, he has the ability to run all over the field.
Well, where he really excels is working on the outside, and you see there he busts it to the outside as he beats the tackle across there. And what you're going to have to watch with Dalvin Cook, it's almost like what Minnesota's doing to Seattle. You have to contain Cook. You have to keep him between the tackles within the tackle box. I mean, you've got to make him force his way upfield 3 or 4 yards before he can get outside.
2nd and 5 for the Minnesota Vikings. Shotgun formation, 3 wide receivers, 2 over to the left, 1 to the right. Bridgewater, quick 3-step drop. And down goes Bridgewater. First sack of the day. First Sonny Weaver splash play. Clark getting into the backfield and bringing down Teddy Bridgewater. And for Seattle, that is their key to success today, Sonny. It is the defense containing Teddy Bridgewater and getting some negative plays.
Well, one thing you have to understand is that pass rush from Seattle we talked about in the pregame, why they would match up so well against the Pittsburgh Steelers team. It applies here. Teddy Bridgewater has had his struggles historically. He had a good year this year, but pressure in his face can make Teddy bad Teddy real quick.
3rd and 12, shotgun formation, 3 wide receivers out there. 2 to the right, 1 to the left, 2 in the backfield with Teddy Bridgewater. Cook to his left, Hodges to his right. Teddy Bridgewater dropping back to pass here on 3rd and 12. He's got a lot of time. Great protection. Looking for Adam Thielen, who catches it in front of the cornerback coming down to make a play. It's complete for 14 yards. It's a first down. And right there, the Minnesota offensive line giving Teddy Bridgewater plenty of time. And Adam Thielen ran wide open on that corner route.
And good job there by Teddy Bridgewater. He throws his wide receiver open. Thielen is sensing pressure, gets down, doesn't take the big hit, and big conversion there for Minnesota.
1st and 10, Bridgewater dropping back to pass once again. Blitz coming up the middle. He has a man wide open. It's Stephon Diggs, who shakes off one tackler and meets another. That was Thomas coming up and laying the lumber on Stephon Diggs. But man coverage is going to be tough today, Sonny. We saw it in the game yesterday when the Chargers brought out man coverage against those speedy and talented Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers. Turned into a bad day, and they've got more of the same against these Minnesota wide receivers.
And Stephon Diggs spins Richard Sherman. They're making him look silly. That's a matchup to watch. I'd like to see some outside pressure there from Richard Sherman.
1st and 10, toss formation, Dalvin Cook to the outside, and Seattle has scouted Dalvin Cook. They've watched a lot of tape on this Minnesota Vikings team, and Sonny, they know that they want to get Dalvin Cook outside the tackles. A great job of getting pressure on the outside there and dropping him for a 2-yard loss.
Good play there by Seattle. They're containing Dalvin Cook. They're keeping him on the inside of the tackles. That's what you got to do. Now, here you get in this 2nd and 12. You got to get some pressure here on Teddy Bridgewater. You can't sit in the pocket and throw all day.
2nd and 12, shotgun formation for Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to hand it off to Dalvin Cook once again. And once again, the Seattle defense swarming to the ball. No yards on the play for Dalvin Cook, bringing up another 3rd and long. Sonny, we talked about it yesterday with the LA defense and how good that Ben Roethlisberger is when he has time. I think we have another example of that today. Seattle's going to have to bring pressure on 3rd down and make sure Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have time to sit in the pocket.
I'm not sure I would compare Teddy Bridgewater to the MVP Ben Roethlisberger, but what I will say is he can hurt you too. So yes, pressure is key. But there's still going to be some errant throws here by Bridgewater.
Bridgewater's dropping back to pass on 3rd and 12. Blitz picked up perfectly. Lobs it out to the right side to Stephon Diggs. Diggs takes a big hit and can't come down with that one. It's going to bring up a 4th down. Minnesota's going to be forced to punt. Don't know if that one slipped out of Bridgewater's hands or if that was actually the throw he was going for. But from the minute it left his hands, you could hear this entire Minnesota stadium going, no, 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 that's a bad throw. Luckily, it only turns into an incomplete pass.
And honestly there, I felt like that was Bridgewater. He kind of lofted that one, put a little too much air under it. I get there was trailing coverage there, but I think if he puts a little less air underneath that, Diggs catches that and pulls it down before getting hit, probably converts that 1st down.
Yeah, especially if he throws it more towards the sidelines. Diggs has enough speed to get away from the cornerbacks and able to get that ball. But nonetheless, we get to see the Seattle offense come back out on the field. Again, you look at the tail of the tape, you look at their number 5 overall rushing attack. Well, that was with Thomas Rawls, who had a fantastic season, but he is out. CJ Prosise, his backup, is out. So it is up to Zach Zenner for the rushing attack. And, of course, Russell the Love Muscle Wilson at quarterback. We'll see if he can do enough through the air. This is a team built on the rushing attack. We'll see if they can get the passing attack going today. 1st and 10 play action pass for Russell Wilson. He's got a lot of time and looks over to the right side. I think he got his feet in bounds. Yes, he did at the 30-yard line. It's a 1st down for Seattle. Nice job of Russell Wilson there. Sonny, that's what he can do so well. Step out of the pocket, get some different throwing angles. He finds Doug Baldwin right at the 1st down marker.
Well, and what you exposed there was the lack of pass rush by Minnesota. Only sent 3 on that. And Wilson really did have a lot of time. Now, he moved out late from the pocket, but that was just to buy a little bit more time for that deep crosser. Minnesota's going to have to bring a little pressure here.
Russell Wilson comes out under center, 2 wide receivers over to the left side. He drops back into the pistol formation with Zach Zenner behind him. It's Wilson dropping back to pass. Once again, looks over the middle of the field. Has a man. It's complete right at the midfield marker. It's a 1st down for the Seattle Seahawks. A beautiful throw by Russell Wilson and back-to-back catches for Doug Baldwin, who is one of Russell Wilson's favorite targets out here.
I've been impressed so far with Russell Wilson. What you're seeing right now is a calm, cool, and collected, almost workman-like attitude as they march down the field here. Wilson, perfect 4 for 4 right now. Not seeing this running game, though, and that's a little bit concerning.
4 wide receivers out there for Russell Wilson, 2 to each side. He's got Zach Zenner in the backfield at the midfield marker. Now, man, going in motion over to the left. That's Jimmy Graham, who leads this team in yardage. It's going to be a toss play over to Zach Zenner. He's got a big hole over there. Makes Harrison Smith look silly. Has one man to beat. Little stop-and-go action allows the defense to catch up to the 25-yard line. Would have liked to see Zach Zenner just run full speed ahead. Try something a little closer. But great blocking on the outside. And Harrison Smith laying on the turf looking silly out there.
Well, I would have liked to see Harrison Smith make a better tackle attempt, but we don't always get what we want. So Zach Zenner breaking the first big tackle so far this game, and it's Zach Zenner, not Dalvin Cook, really making the defense look silly.
Only the second carry for Zenner. We'll see if he gets more here after that run. 1st and 10. Zenner 2. Wilson's right. 3 wide receivers over to the left, 1 over to the right. It's going to be Wilson dropping back to pass here on 1st and 10. Oh, and he had a man wide open over the middle, and Wilson got a little too excited there and overthrew him by about 5 yards. It's an incomplete pass. Going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and that's an unfortunate throw there. Russell Wilson had clean pocket there. He had the guy running free, and he just airmailed it a little bit. It looked like he short-armed that one rather than stepping into the throw. He kind of tried to do all upper body, and then you get a little inaccurate throw.
The Love muscle got a little too much muscle on that one as he's in the pistol formation. Zach Zenner at tailback, 2 wide receivers, 1 to each side. It's going to be Wilson dropping back to pass once again. The rush is coming. Looks like they're setting up a screen to Zenner. It's blocked beautifully. Gets away from one, but ends up going out of bounds. Zach Zenner having some nice openings because they're doing a great job of blocking on the outside, Sonny. But that's another one where Zach Zenner maybe not using, doesn't have that refined vision you see from the top running backs, because I think he had that trailing guy beat, and he had one man to beat to get in the end zone. Instead, he goes out of bounds.
You know what? I'll give all the credit in the world to Zenner there. The way he kind of just hit that little hop there to get that tackler. You know, he goes out of bounds, but he probably still picked up an extra couple yards there just by kind of high-stepping that a little bit.
If you're wondering who the leading receiver is for the Seattle Seahawks, well, Jimmy Graham has the most yards, most receptions, actually Amara Darboh, but Russell Wilson spreads the ball out to all of his wide receivers pretty effectively. Jimmy Graham, though, has been his favorite target so far. 3rd and 3, and he is looking for Jimmy Graham, and Harrison Smith knows that he's looking for Jimmy Graham, and Harrison Smith usually comes up with the pick there. It instead falls to the ground incomplete, going to give Seattle a chance to kick a field goal, but Harrison Smith is probably going to want to redo that play because he missed out on a golden opportunity for a turnover.
Smith reads that perfectly. Just a little too excited there. I think he needs to pull that one in. You know, with the way that drive went, I think Minnesota's happy to only give up 3. But they definitely need to capitalize on those jump balls that Wilson tends to throw down in the red zone.
Yeah, we'll see if Russell Wilson, so far it's been the Russell Wilson show. Part of that is with no Thomas Rawls, but part of that has to go to the Minnesota Vikings are in the bottom 6 of pass defense in terms of yards given up. So we'll see if they can continue to exploit this defense. They had some talent, especially at safety in Harrison Smith, but cornerback has been an issue, and there's some talented wide receivers for the Seattle Seahawks. 3-0 Seattle on top here in the second quarter. We appreciate each and every one of you tuning into NBL Live broadcast number 149. I'm OSU. I'm hanging out with my man Sonny. It's the NFC Championship game, the right to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl here in Season 27. The Seahawks, the defending Super Bowl champions. The Minnesota Vikings, the champions of the NFC North. 1st and 10, it's Teddy Bridgewater under center. I formation, Dalvin Cook at tailback, 2 wide receivers, 1 to each side. Bridgewater changing up this play left and right like Peyton Manning out there. Hands off to Dalvin Cook over the left side, who once again goes outside. He's down around the 30-yard line, 5 yards on the play. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 5.
And Dalvin needs to do a better job of knowing what's going on out there. He had a block, and I get that the wide receiver gave up on it a little bit early. I would have stayed inside, though. He wanted to get to the outside. I would have stayed inside, tried to cut it up the field. Probably picks up another 3 or 4 yards there.
2nd and 5 for the Minnesota Vikings. Teddy Bridgewater breaks the huddle. He's got 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 to each side. Dalvin Cook in the backfield as he drops back to pass on 2nd and 5. Stepping up in the pocket, he looks underneath to Adam Thielen. It is complete down to the 39-yard line. I wonder, the Seattle defense, Sonny, it's very talented, it's very opportunistic. It seems like the Minnesota Vikings are fairly predictable early in this game. A lot of throws underneath, a lot of runs to the outside. Do you see Seattle finding a way to capitalize on any of that?
Well, I think what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing some press coverage here from Seattle at some point. And they're really going to challenge them to try to take a shot over top, especially with Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas down in the deep center field.
Well, the 3rd catch of the day there for Adam Thielen over the middle of the field as Bridgewater, the pocket was closing in on him. He finds Thielen at the 45-yard line. Their first movement, really this drive, a nice job getting into enemy territory. They're looking to capitalize on this one as Adam Thielen has been a favorite target of Teddy Bridgewater so far.
And one of the things that's really starting to bother me a little bit, we talked about last play, not seeing the press coverage from Seattle, and we're not seeing this pressure, this vaunted defensive line not getting to Bridgewater. I think you need to put your cornerbacks on an island, give them a chance, and let's see if we can get to Bridgewater.
Shotgun formation for Teddy Bridgewater. 2 wide receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Dalvin Cook in the backfield on 1st and 10. They are going to hand it off to Dalvin Cook, and right up the middle, they had that hole filled. Dalvin Cook's going to fight forward for 2 yards, going to bring up a 2nd and 8. If you're wondering, receiving-wise for the Minnesota Vikings, favorite target, of course, is Stephon Diggs. He leads all receivers by about 20 in the receptions category, 2nd being Adam Thielen. But Stephon Diggs matched up against Richard Sherman today. Who do you like in that matchup, Sonny?
Well, I think Richard Sherman is the man in that matchup. Just got to put him in good situations where he can win, and right now I'm not sure they're doing that. Shade him inside, shade him outside, and let's try to pick and choose where we take our shots.
Empty backfield for Teddy Bridgewater. First time we've seen this. 5 wide receivers out there. He's dropping back to pass on 2nd and 8, steps up in the pocket, looks over the middle of the field, and once again it's Adam Thielen over the middle underneath. It's complete at the 33-yard line. It's going to bring up another first down for the Minnesota Vikings. The 4th catch of the day for Adam Thielen.
Thielen right now is really, I'm wondering if because Sherman is following Diggs, if Thielen's become the target here. I try to mix it up a little bit. Try to slide Sherman around, get him on Thielen every now and then, and see if you can trick him into throwing it towards Sherman.
1st and 10 for the Minnesota Vikings as they're up to the 33-yard line. It's Teddy Bridgewater under center. Dalvin Cook at tailback. 2 tight ends on the right side of that formation. Now fullback moving from left to right, and on 1st down, it's going to be a handoff to Dalvin Cook. He's got some good blocking out there. It's 1 man to beat, and nice pursuit to get Dalvin Cook out of bounds at the 27-yard line. 6 yards on the play. The Seattle defense having a conceded effort right now to make sure Dalvin Cook doesn't break off any one of those big chunk yardages. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 4.
Well, and eventually Dalvin Cook's going to break one. You don't stop Dalvin Cook. You just contain as much as possible, and so far they've done a good job, but it's getting there to the point where you think he's going to break one here any minute.
2nd and 4 to hand off to Dalvin Cook, and he did not break one there, Sonny. He goes down for, that was Davis into the game. For some reason, Sonny, I could be wrong. Doesn't seem like Dalvin Cook gets very tired. What's the thought of bringing in the backup running back there on 2nd down and handing the ball off to him?
Well, yeah, who am I to question the Minnesota Vikings running ability? Now, I'll tell you what, that guy didn't get outside as quickly as Dalvin Cook would have.
I mean, Mike Davis, 12 carries, 38 yards on the season, a 3.2 yards per game average. He's basically Dalvin Cook Jr. with those yardage numbers. 3rd and 6, shotgun formation for Teddy Bridgewater. 3 wide receivers over to the left, 1 over to the right. Treadwell alone on that right side. Dalvin Cook to the right of Teddy Bridgewater. Seattle showing pressure up the middle. They drop off into coverage on 3rd and 6. Teddy Bridgewater rolling over to the right. He's looking deep down the field for Treadwell. Opportunity for an interception there, but instead it just goes over everyone's head. It's going to bring up a 4th and 6 and a field goal opportunity here for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, I actually, if I'm Minnesota, I'm calling for the offense or defensive pass interference there. The cornerback went to make a play on the ball, and it looked like he jumped into the receiver, kind of impeding his progress towards the ball.
I think that ball was thoroughly over his head.
Oh, no.
I don't. I think if you're calling those ticky-tack calls, you're getting into the candy corn league here in the NBL. Let's just put the flags on everyone and make sure nobody touches anybody. We don't want anybody getting a boo-boo out there.
Boo-hoo.
Yes, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. You were crying about it. 3-3 your score.
You're crying about it.
I ain't crying about anything. 3-3 your score right now. 2:41 to go. 3 timeouts for Seattle. Sonny, we saw Seattle have a nice drive on that last possession. Do you see them finding a way to get into the end zone, though? This Minnesota defense is the passing game where they're going to find exploits, because this Minnesota defense has struggled against the passing game. They did play against some great passing offense in that NFC North, but they struggled at times as they hand the ball off to Zach Center over the left side and does an interesting move trying to run through his blocker and the guy he was blocking. Not the most effective play, going to bring up a 2nd and 6, but is the passing game where Seattle's going to have the most success today?
Well, I don't know if I would go that far, but what I would say is that, they're going to have to find success there. Zenner, we saw, made a good move there earlier in this game. They've got to keep giving him his opportunities, and at some point he's got to basically bring that Minnesota Vikings defense down into the box, give Wilson a one-on-one shot.
3 wide receivers over to the left side. Jimmy Graham on that right side. Zenner to Wilson's right in the shotgun formation. So we're nearing the 2-minute warning, under 2:10 to go. Wilson dropping back to pass. Blitz coming right up the middle, and down goes Wilson. Hunter with the sack, and some sort of miscommunication there, Sonny. That's something you can't do, as they only sent 4 on the play. There are 5 offensive linemen, and there was a free rusher. I'm not a math major, but I'm pretty sure somebody messed up there.
Well, Okay, well that's interesting. Yeah, when you start looking at that count, I put a little bit of on Bridgewater. I think at some point you want to check that, knowing this pass rush is pretty decent. Try to get yourself some extra blockers in the box.
3rd and long, 3rd and 14 for Russell Wilson in the shotgun. He'll drop back to pass. On 3rd down, looking to complete it. He's going to take a deep shot down the left side. Has a step. It's complete at the 35-yard line. Russell Wilson with a picture-perfect pass down the left sideline. And Seattle is in business under the 2-minute warning as they're up to the 35-yard line. A beautiful catch by their number 1 receiver, Amara Darboh, who has the most catches out of the wide receivers here on the Seattle Seahawks.
Darboh has definitely turned into kind of a game-breaking receiver here. I did not see that coming, and right now he's shown why he is the number 1 wide receiver for this team. 1st
and 10 for Wilson and the Seahawks. 2 wide receivers out there, 1 tight end on the right side of that formation. Zach Zenner at halfback, as it is Russell Wilson driving back pass. Looks over the middle of the field once again, and I think he completed that one, but it got ripped out at the last second. A tough play there into coverage. An incomplete pass going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and again, Wilson, you've got a lot of time. You don't need to be throwing it downfield so much. If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I'm really trying to avoid throwing it towards Harrison Smith whenever I can. It seems like they're almost attacking him right now.
2nd and 10, shotgun formation for Wilson. 1 tight end on the right side of that formation. That's Jimmy Graham. 3 wide receivers out there. Wilson in the pocket. Blitz picked up perfectly. He's going to take off, use his legs a little bit. He may have the first down as he slides down to the 25-yard line. I think they are going to give him the first down. Nice job by Russell Wilson, recognizing nobody was open downfield, and he did what we saw out of a Tennessee Titans quarterback by the name of Marcus Mariota. He took off with the run, and it got him a first down. They're up to the 25-yard line.
Right now, Russell Wilson leading his team down the field. Very impressive drive yet again from Russell Wilson.
Pistol formation. They're going to hand the ball off to Zach Zenner. Tries to get outside. He gets a couple on the play up to the 43-yard line as we're down to the 42nd mark. Sonny, I've seen Zach Zenner play. I've seen him on the field. I don't think he's the running back that you want to try to get outside. He's much more of a between-the-tackles sort of runner.
I'm a little bit surprised they haven't been running him between the tackles. You're seeing Minnesota kind of keen on those outside runs. Try to get him up between those tackles. Let's see what he's got.
Shotgun formation for Wilson as he drops back to pass here on 2nd and 8. Dropping back, steps up in the pocket, and finds one of the Minnesota Vikings. That is Hunter, once again, his 2nd sack of the day. 10 seconds to go. Seattle taking a timeout, finally realizing the clock was running down, but Russell Wilson, little late on recognizing the pocket was collapsing around him, and Hunter's able to capitalize with his 2nd sack.
And right there, Pete Carroll calling the timeout, trying to maybe think, I don't know, Minnesota, you want to take one more shot downfield? I think Minnesota was okay. Going into
you drunk over there? You just drinking?
You know what? A little bit.
It's fine.
Just kidding.
Don't worry about it, man.
Well, I guess I'm a little surprised there. If I thought Minnesota was actually going to call the timeout because they wanted the ball back. Interesting that Pete Carroll, though, is going to try to take a shot here and probably throw an interception.
Yeah, the clock management a little rough as he hands it off on 3rd and 14.
He's going to run it.
Up to the 20-yard line. Okay, let's take a step back. You call a timeout with 10 seconds to go. You run one more play, and it's a drop play up the middle. Interesting call.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably a little bit with that confusion. I'm not sure what's going on there, but you never know. Those draw plays will work. Never.
Okay, well, that's that Sonny Weaver analysis of the draw play. Apparently, it'll never work as Seattle goes up 6-3 in this game. 1 second to go. They'll kick this ball off and go into halftime. Unless something disastrous happens, you think they're going to squib kick this one. They do indeed, as it's taken by the up man Hodges. And he'll go down at the 40-yard line. That'll take us to halftime. 6-3 your game, Sonny. Would you say this game has gone very similar to how most people sort of thought this would? Low scoring, knocking heads, running the ball sort of ball game, or did you expect more scoring out of this one?
Well, I expected more scoring. I said 24-10, I think, in the pregame, and I thought Minnesota would have an easier time trying to move the ball down the field. I think one thing to note is you're seeing a lot of underneath throws. They've yet to try to challenge the deep safeties, and I think that may be where you're going to see them go here soon. Worked a lot of underneath, got to get them to bite, and then take your shot over top.
Yeah, Minnesota's going to start with the ball. Down 3, it's going to be I formation for Teddy Bridgewater. Dalvin Cook at tailback, 2 wide receivers, Diggs to the left, Perriman over to the right. Dalvin Cook changing up the play as he surveys the defense here on 1st and 10. It's going to be Bridgewater dropping back to pass. Looks over to the left side. It is Stephon Diggs on another out route down to the 37-yard line. So far, that's what's been Stephon Diggs. He has 2 catches, both on out routes, both in man coverage. Minnesota's got to start recognizing that that's what they want to do with Stephon Diggs.
And really what I want to see is I want to see Richard Sherman press him and play outside coverage. I want to see him try to force Diggs to do something across the middle, drive him into your safeties. You've got Cam Chancellor, you've got Earl Thomas. Make them play against your top all-pro safeties.
1st and 10. 2 tight ends on the right side of that formation. 1 wide receiver. It's Diggs. Gates moving from left to the right. It's going to be a handoff to Dalvin Cook. Tries to get outside. Cuts it back inside. He'll get to the 43-yard line. And Dalvin Cook not getting up right now. Clutching that left arm. And this could be a big hit for the Minnesota Vikings, not only in this game, but if he can't come back, then the Minnesota Vikings do end up winning this game. They take a big hit on their offensive productions.
That's a very, very scary moment here as Cooks goes down. Minnesota, what are we doing now?
Well, what they're doing is they're going to come up with no running back. Just 5 wide receivers. Let's just air this one out. 3 wide receivers over to the left, 2 over to the right for Teddy Bridgewater. On 2nd and 4 as he drops back. Rush coming up the middle. He has a man wide open. It's Smith-Schuster. He's got some room. A little stop and go action. And Smith-Schuster's into the end zone. No Dalvin Cook. No problem. The press coverage comes back to bite the Minnesota Vikings. Sonny, they listened to you. They pressed up, and Smith-Schuster said, okay, I'll go right by you to the end zone.
Well, let's talk about that tackle attempt here for a second. What the heck was that? I mean, he like clicked his heels together, and it made the guy fall down. It's almost like he was saying there's no place like home. And by home, I mean the end zone.
Well, at the end of the day, we do get word that Dalvin Cook just dinged up a little bit, took a helmet to the arm. He is fine. He's not going to stay out of this NFC Championship game. And Minnesota goes up 10-6, the first touchdown of the day. What's the mood if you're on the Seattle Seahawks, Sonny? Are you feeling nervous at all knowing you just gave up your first touchdown and on a big play behind that?
Well, I'm feeling okay if I'm Seattle. You know, big plays do happen. You just got to focus here. You've got plenty of time. Really, I've been impressed with Seattle's offense. They've just really not been able to take those shots down in the red zone and try to punch them in here. So no reason to freak out here. I think Seattle can march down the field here if they just kind of pick and choose their shots a little bit.
Yeah, 1st and 10 for the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, play action pass. He's going to sit in the pocket. He's looking down the field. Nobody open. Looking over to the right side, and somebody comes open. It is complete at the 48-yard line. What a throw by Russell Wilson, who has made some beautiful passes down the field. That one to the 48-yard line as Seattle is in business. Doug Baldwin coming all the way from the left side of the field.
Great sit there in the pocket for Russell Wilson, letting him get across the field. Russell Wilson has really impressed me in this game. I think they've got a chance to win, and it's going to be based on Russell Wilson's performance.
Bunch formation to the right, 1 over to the left side. Now moving Jimmy Graham over to the left side on 1st and 10. They're going to hand it off to Zach Setter. He's got a lot of room on the left side. He's past the 50, makes a man miss. He's going to get the first down at the 42-yard line. What a spin move there by Zach Zenner. Not known for the quickest of moves, but right there, he made a man miss and was able to get the first down. Zach Zenner filling in admirably for the injured Thomas Rawls.
Thomas Rawls, who? No? Too early? Okay.
No, it's too early. I don't think Zach Zenner is better than Thomas Rawls, but I like the effort.
We got to try, right?
Pump up the ZZ train. 1st and 10. They're going to go back to the I formation. They just did a little dance there, splitting out to a strong formation. Back to the I formation. On 1st and 10, they're going to hand off Zach Zenner. It's a big hole, and he bounces off a tackler. That's what Zach Zenner can do. He's going to find the end zone. 42 yards, and Sonny Weaver, well, let's just ask it again. Thomas Rawls, who Zach Zenner using that big meaty shoulder of his and breaks a tackle and finds the end zone from 42 yards out.
Well, we now will refer to Zach Zenner as the Z Train because he is out there just running over dudes right now.
Well, let me ask. I like the Z Train as a name. Should we? He is a superstar right now. Should we call him a Z Star?
Well, if that were the case, we would have to then follow that up by saying he is not a top 5 running back.
I underhand toss it to you. You knock it out of the park. Thank you, Sonny Weaver, as the Minnesota Vikings are going to get the ball back, and after seeing a first half with no touchdowns, we're not even 2 minutes into the second half, and we've already seen 2 on the day. A deep pass to Smith-Schuster from Teddy Bridgewater, and the answer from Zach Center from 42 yards out. Now Minnesota with the ball back. Let's see if the Seattle defense can shore up and get something, get a stop and get the ball back. They're up 13-10 here in the NFC Championship game. Looking to get back to the Super Bowl and defend their title, become back-to-back champions. Minnesota looking for their first title under owner Hop. 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers as Teddy Bridgewater drops back to pass. Pod closing around him. He looks down the middle of the field, and Hodges catches it, and Hodges runs into a freight train. I believe that was Cam Chancellor with the hit back there, jarring the ball free. Going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
Cam Chancellor laying the wood. Now that guy can hit, and that's a little bit on Bridgewater. He's got to protect his wide receivers. He can't be throwing them into that guy because that guy will knock your block off.
2nd and 10 for the Minnesota Vikings. 2 wide receivers over to the left, 1 over to the right. That is Adam Thielen, who is coming in motion. Dalvin Cook back into the game, 2nd and 10. He's going to look over the middle of the field, and some miscommunication there. Maybe an early pass. Don't know what really happened there on the dig route over the middle. It just goes past everybody, though. Going to bring up a 3rd and 10.
And I'm wondering at this point now if they're a little shook. They had that big drive there. They scored, and then all of a sudden Seattle comes back and answers that score. And I wonder if pressure's getting to Minnesota at this point.
Now a 3rd and 10 for the Minnesota Vikings. Bridgewater dropping back to pass. Looking deep down the middle of the field. He has Stephon Diggs, who somehow gets behind the 2 deep safeties, and he catches it at the 43-yard line. Sonny, Stephon Diggs is their #1 wide receiver. How do you have 2 deep safeties back there and you lose Stephon Diggs on a post route?
Well, he splits the 2 deep safeties. You have both safeties looking at each other wondering what just happened.
That is no good in pass coverage. You can't do that when you have receivers like Stephon Diggs. The handoff is to Dalvin Cook up the middle. Nice tackle in the middle there by the defensive player. Going to bring him down at the 38-yard line. Bring up a 2nd and 5. Good to see Dalvin Cook in the game. As you heard the entire stadium collectively make a big sigh of relief when they saw their #1 running back get back into the game.
Dalvin Cook, like we said, he's kind of the engine that drives this freight train that is the Minnesota Vikings offense. Hasn't had much of a game yet tonight, but I think if we hang in there just a little bit longer, you're going to see him break one soon.
2nd and 5 for the Minnesota Vikings. 3 wide receivers bunched over the left side. 1 tight end on the right side of that formation. Dalvin Cook behind Teddy Bridgewater in the pistol. He'll drop back to pass on 2nd and 5. The rush is coming, and Teddy Bridgewater's going to go down at the 48-yard line, and he's going to stay down as we find out the left tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. He's not coming back into the game. And now the quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, going down, and Minnesota fans, just after they had that nice sigh of relief seeing Dalvin Cook get back into the game, they see their quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, go down. This could be huge for Minnesota.
Yeah, injuries piling up here for Minnesota, and really it's unfortunate there because Bridgewater had a read open early. He had a crosser from the inside. He tries to hang on to it a little too long, and he pays the price. And now, folks, the Jay Cutler Show.
Oh, boy, 3rd and 15, shotgun formation for the former guy who's played for just about every team, Jay Cutler. As he steps up in the pocket and does the most Jay Cutler thing I have ever seen. Misses the receiver by roughly 2 stadiums. That one, I think that we got to have a new word. I'm going to call that one Cutler incomplete, or Cutler pleat, as that one was not even worthy of being called incomplete. That was one of the worst throws I've seen here in the NBL.
Well, we talked about the Z train. That was the J strain because he was straining to make those completions. I pulled a muscle watching that, yeah. Yes, yeah. Very ugly, very ugly.
Not good at all. 1st and 10 now for the Seattle Seahawks. And Sonny, we'll get word on Teddy Bridgewater, I assume, in a second. When we find out about him, we'll let you know. But that loss on the offensive line of the left tackle, I mean, that's a big loss because this Seattle defensive line is one of the best in the NBL. This could open up some pressure for the Seattle defense.
Yeah, of course. This that's a big turn of events depending on how long Bridgewater is going to be out.
1st and 10. It's a handoff to Zach Center. Cuts it right back up the middle. He'll get 4 on the play. 7 carries, 90 yards. Zach Center signed recently as Teddy Bridgewater will not be coming back into the game. Dislocated elbow in his throwing arm, which you actually do need the elbow to throw the ball. So we get the pleasure, the joy, just the experience of watching Jay Cutler play for the Minnesota Vikings. Sonny, is this game over?
Good game, Vikings. Good season.
Yeah, it was an admirable try.
It was a good try. And now if you're Seattle, you just run the ball because you know this one's over.
Zach Zenner's going to get the carry. He'll get 3 yards up to the 27-yard line, bring up a 3rd and short. I mean, all jokes aside, Jay Cutler, we've seen him put together good games at times in his career. And in fairness, this is not new for Teddy Bridgewater, Sonny. We know this guy has had injury problems in the past. He is made of what appears to be some mix of porcelain and glass. And going out here in the NFC Championship game, I can't say it's overly surprising.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is not the shining example of, the Iron Man award of the NFL. Yeah.
3rd and 3 here for the Seattle Seahawks as Russell Wilson drops back to pass on 3rd and short, looks underneath, and I believe he finds it is complete to Doug Baldwin at the 33-yard line. They got a first down in Seattle. The confidence level on the Seattle sideline had to go through the roof when they see Teddy Bridgewater not coming back into the game. No one likes to see injuries to anybody, but at the end of the day, everybody likes to see Jay Cutler on the opposing sidelines.
Yeah, and Jay Cutler supposedly down there working on getting his classic cigarette lit there. Smoking Jay Cutler is, one of the staples that people come to see when they come to see Jay Cutler.
Jimmy Graham going in motion. He'll come back into the backfield on 1st and 10. It's going to be a handoff to Zach Zenner right up the middle, who continues being no more than he is. Zach Zenner is absolutely a freight train. Fights forward for 4 yards. He was hit at the line of scrimmage, but uses that big body to get forward to the 36-yard line. Going to bring up a 2nd and 6.
Zach Zenner just pounds away, and he knocks out a couple 2- and 3-yard runs, and then next thing you know, he's running 30 yards down the field. So if I'm Seattle, I just keep giving him the ball.
Back in formation for Russell Wilson. 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. Zach Zenner to the right of Russell Wilson. 13-10 your score here as we're nearing the 1-minute mark here in the 3rd quarter. Zach Zenner, huge hole right up the middle. He tried that spin move again. That one was much slower, but he gets the first down at the 48-yard line. This Seattle rushing attack without Thomas Rawls still gets rolling with the Z train.
Yeah, Zach Zenner, God, where have you been all of our lives?
I think he was in Detroit for a while.
Of course he was.
Just to answer your question. 1st and 10, shotgun formation. Once again for Russell Wilson, 4 wide receivers, 3 over to the right, 1 over to the left. Zach Zenner to his right, and on 1st down as a play-action pass, Russell Wilson's going to be looking to throw the ball. Great protection. He's taking a deep shot down the right side. Annex caught. Jimmy Graham goes up with that big frame of his and brings down the ball at the 11-yard line. Big players make big plays at big times, and Jimmy Graham no bigger than this one in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, and can we talk about how covered Jimmy Graham was there? I mean, literally, that was the truest definition of a 50-50 ball. You just threw that up and hoped your guy would go get it, and there he does.
Toss play to Zach Zenner. Once again, doing the outside. He does that spin move once again, which is about as quickly as I do a spin move. Jimmy Graham, though, used all of that 6'7" frame. Looked almost like a basketball player going up for a rebound there, Sonny. Boxing out the shorter cornerback and coming down with the catch. A huge one for momentum for Seattle. Yeah,
and watch for Jimmy Graham down here again in the red zone. You like the matchup of Jimmy Graham at 6'7" here inside the 10.
2nd and 9 as we're going to hit the 4th quarter. Your score 13-10, Seattle on top, but Seattle with the ball inside the red zone at the 10-yard line. Minnesota, no Teddy Bridgewater. Jay Cutler starting the 4th quarter as the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings as the Vikings lose their quarterback. They also lost their left tackle, and for a second it looked like they lost Dalvin Cook. So far, Minnesota just in general lost.
Yeah. Minnesota's going to have some struggles here. It's a big red zone stand they've got to put up here. If you go down by more than a touchdown with Jay Cutler as your quarterback, I'm not sure you've got a chance to come back. So right now it's on the Minnesota defense to get a stop.
Seattle, 3 wide receivers, 2 over to the right, 1 to the left. Zenner in the backfield. It's going to be another toss to Zach Zenner over the right side, and that's going to lose a yard on the play. And Sonny, they've sort of gone away with what's been successful for Zach Zenner between the tackles runs. They're trying to get him outside, and Minnesota doesn't even need particularly speedy or athletic defensive players. They just need average defensive players to bring down Zach Zenner on an outside run.
Well, what you're seeing is this is still the Thomas Rawls offense. Get Rawls, your big back, out on the edge against cornerbacks and try to run them over. They're trying to do that with Zach Zenner. The problem is he just doesn't get there quite as quick. And then you get linebackers to chase him down and drop him. So not quite as effective without Thomas Rawls.
They're in 11, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. Man coming in motion. They're going to hand it off on the jet sweep. This is well covered, but the juke move gets him into the end zone. Oh, Richardson got the carry, had 2 Minnesota Vikings closing in from the outside. Just did a little shimmy shake, and he gets into the end zone, puts Seattle up 2 scores. What a run by Richardson.
And what a letdown there by the Minnesota defense. A little jet sweep action there to put this game probably, and I'll pause, out of reach.
But Jay Cutler. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Paul Richardson only has 6 catches on the year. But an unbelievable run there to put them up 10. And how big is that touchdown? Minnesota already without their left tackle, already without their quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. And then your defense looks like they're going to hold them up at the 10-yard line to a field goal, keep it a 1-score game, Sonny, and they give up a touchdown to put you down 10.
Yeah, that not good. Things kind of unraveling right now for Minnesota, who had such a great regular season, and now when you look like you had a great shot to make the Super Bowl, you're looking at Jay Cutler.
Well, Jay Cutler is going to try to throw it again. This one was not overthrown. It was almost thrown directly to the Seattle player. 0 for 2 to start the game. Going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
And that one should have been intercepted too. So hey, at least Jay Cutler's got that going for him. He throws so hard, the guy can't hold on to it from the other team.
2nd and 10. Jay Cutler in the shotgun. Dalvin Cook to his right. 3 wide receivers, 2 over to the left, 1 over to the right. Perriman now split out wide left. As Seattle's going to gift them 5 yards because they feel bad about Jay Cutler being at quarterback, and that's a charitable thing to do. While we have a moment here in the fourth, I want to give a big shout out, as always, to our graphic sponsor. That's Web3KS.com, also the sponsor of our pregame show. They do a ton of the graphics here on the network. A big shout out to all business over at Web3KS.com. If you or anyone you know needs graphics done for an affordable price, head over to Web3KS.com. They're the leaders in affordable graphic design. 2nd and 5 now for the Minnesota Vikings. Jay Cutler in shotgun formation. 2 over to the left, 1 over to the right. Dalvin Cook to his right as he splits Perriman out wide once again. 2nd and 5. Cutler dropping back to pass. Looking, he's going to take a deep shot. Bold decision. And Brashad Perriman just says, Jay, I got you, big dog. Let me come down with the basket catch in bracket coverage at the 15-yard line. I don't think that was a good throw, but Brashad Perriman made it a great one.
That wasn't a good throw or a good read, but hey, why not?
Lets it just fall into his hands as Jay Cutler goes back to doing Jay Cutler things, overthrows everybody there. I don't have any idea, honestly, how Brashad Perriman came down with that catch, Sonny, because he caught that one like he was a center fielder, and he had defenders all over him. That just turns out to be a lucky throw, right? That wasn't any sort of skill on the part of Jay Cutler.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's Jay Cutler. You never know with this guy.
Hey, get your NBL Fantasy League going and pick up Jay Cutler because he's 1 for 4 to start this game. 2nd and 10. He's looking over the middle of the field to Dalvin Cook. He completes that one and leads Dalvin Cook into a hit that's going to leave him down on the ground. So really making fans all over the place.
And Dalvin Cook holding his forearm yet again. He had that bruised forearm earlier. We'll see if he's just bruised it again, or if maybe he finally broke it.
Yeah, let's see if Jay Cutler runs off the field and kicks Dalvin Cook in the arm just to make sure that it hurts, as it's a shotgun formation for Jay Cutler. 2 wide receivers out there. It's a play action pass here on 3rd and 3. Rush getting there. He's going to toss this underneath to Hodges, and Hodges will not have the first down. He's brought down to the 6-yard line. It's going to bring up a 4th and 1, and Minnesota's going to be forced to kick a field goal. But pat on the back to Brashad Perriman, who had the play that saved the Minnesota Vikings. He doesn't come down with that one. They're punting it back to the Seattle Seahawks. Instead, they cut it back to a 1-score game, 20-13. And now we're going to see if the Seattle Seahawks offense can run this clock down with 4:27 to go. NBL rules state you can't kill the clock until under 2 minutes, but Sonny, the way Zach Center's been running, they might not have to kill the clock. They may just run this one all the way down the field.
Well, we'll see. There's still a lot of time left. I think that drive gives you some hope. That maybe there's a chance, as Cook now sprained his elbow.
So he's got a bruise. That arm is really in bad shape.
Yeah, he's just really beat up trying to hold on to the ball. It's tough.
My favorite part about this is Dalvin Cook has gone down with 2 arm injuries, stayed on the ground, required the trainers to come out, and now he's suiting up, and he's going to go back out there. I don't know if this was Cook's call or the coach's call, but I don't care how bad your arm is. You get back in that game, Dalvin. We need you. Jay Cutler's out there. We need all the help we can get. 1st and 10, 2 tight ends to the right side of that formation for the Seattle Seahawks. They run center right up the middle, and he finds a way to get that big burly body between the 2 guards, between the guard and the center, gets up to the 39-yard line, a first down on the play, and a beautiful run there. Once again, by not Thomas Rawls, the white Thomas Rawls, it's Zach Zenner.
Well, you want to talk about how he did that. It's because Michael Kendricks over-pursues. Kendricks, the middle linebacker, instead of kind of filling the gap there, he runs to the outside, almost runs all the way around the end, and Zenner just cuts it back right where Kendricks was supposed to be. Horrible play there by Kendricks.
1st and 10, he's got 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side. Zach Zenner in the backfield on 1st and 10. It's a play action pass. Wilson's actually going to throw this one. And Russell Wilson dancing in the backfield. I'm no expert, Sonny, but if he just, instead of doing that little zigzag step, just runs forward, he has a couple yards on the play. Instead, he loses one.
Yeah, he pulled back almost like he thought maybe he was going to pull up and throw it. Instead, yeah, I mean, that was a bad idea.
Second and 11 now for the Seattle Seahawks. Shotgun formation for Russell Wilson. They're going to hand it off to Zach Zenner. He's going to cut it back inside. He'll get up to the 42-yard line. As I don't know who is down on the play. It looks like one of the Minnesota Vikings once again, because Lord knows they had enough problems. Let's take out their defense a little bit. Again, folks, after this game, not only stick around for the NBL Live Player of the Game selection here for Broadcast 149, but head over to the network and check out the BTF Detroit Lions. The Lions, I'm getting word from owner Bomber. They are seriously pursuing David Johnson. Go check out the end of the season recap and their plans for free agency. That's on BTF Detroit Lions, just released. Check it out. It is a great show. And now 3rd and 7 for the Seattle Seahawks. Shotgun formation for Russell Wilson. He's got 3 wide receivers over to the left and 1 over to the right. Play action pass for Russell Wilson. Looks deep down the middle of the field. Has a man. It's Doug Baldwin. He's got a lot of room. Harrison Smith actively avoiding Doug Baldwin. And Seattle's going to go into the end zone for another touchdown. Russell Wilson putting this team on his back and finding Doug Baldwin, his most reliable receiver today, for another long touchdown.
Let the champagne start flowing in Seattle, folks, because this one is over. Minnesota. The letdown that has happened here, it's bad. It's bad, and I know it's easy to point to Teddy Bridgewater and say, had he not gone down, we would have won. But really, you watch this team, they weren't very good even when Bridgewater was in. The Seattle defense has been smothering. This offense has been electric. Zach Zenner, the Z-Train, I mean, this guy's fighting for a starting job, I think, next year. So many storylines here for Seattle, and so few plays made by Minnesota.
Well, and how good, I don't care how good your left tackle is, and I don't think it matters how good Dalvin Cook is. Neither of them play on the defensive side of the ball, and they've not been able to stop Seattle here in the second half. Seattle has turned on the Jets with 2 big touchdowns, one from Zach Zenner, one to Doug Baldwin. They're up 14, and now Jay Cutler's going to have to lead some sort of miracle charge. They need to score quickly with 3:03 to go. Pistol formation for Jay Cutler. He's got 3 wide receivers over to the left side, 1 tight end on the right side of that formation as he looks over the middle field for Brashad Perriman. And Jay Cutler doing more Jay Cutler-like things, finding the most covered receiver and trying to find him over the middle of the field.
Yeah, pretty much. And let's go to the chat real quick. Let's just run over here. Jiggy J-Rod had asked if the last Super Bowl was no longer considered a fluke. What I will say to that is the fluke wasn't Seattle being in last year. It was Seattle being the Super Bowl against somebody not named the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now this year they're going to get to meet the team they should have met last year. And what they're going to see is a destruction, an annihilation by
Jay
an
Cutler
offense.
with a great throw once again. Sorry, Jay Cutler did that.
Carry on. This Seattle defense, as good as they are, has never played an offense as good as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So while we talked about the fluke last year, I think you're going to see what should have happened last year this year.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has said it was a fluke. I think people have criticized it for being a weak championship because basically the Minnesota Vikings got to take down what was essentially a non-existent New York Giants team in the NFC Championship, and then got to go to the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots, who did, in all fairness, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game, but nobody thought that this New England Patriots team was any sort of special or great team, and Seattle was able to come away with a win in a relatively ugly game. So I think that people have said that he's a weak champion. I don't think it was a fluke, because at the end of the day, he did exactly what he needed to do to win, as that pass over the head of Dalvin Cook. Jay Cutler, 3 of 9, which is what we all expected. So I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, I don't think it was a fluke, because the trophy counts. It's not a secret. But at the end of the day, Seattle is going to have an incredibly difficult matchup in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're going to see how good this defense really is.
We'll see a real good game, I think. And I think Seattle's defense is going to hold them at times. But in the end, Pittsburgh's offense just explodes. And when they do, there's no way to really stop them.
So here's the second question for you, Sonny Weaver. We talked about possibly Cam Newton to the LA Chargers. What are the chances we see Jay Cutler in LA as the starting quarterback?
Ouch. Ouch.
Okay,
If that happens, there's some serious issues going on there.
Hey, we know the Chargers don't like to spend a lot of money. I'm pretty sure Cutler is available for 2 McChicken sandwiches and a Frosty from Wendy's. That's right, he makes it tough, makes you go to 2 restaurants. As on 4th and 10, Jay Cutler overthrows Stephon Diggs. Now 2:45 to go. Seattle's going to get the ball back on their own 17-yard line, and they're just looking to run this clock out.
Let the dancing begin. Seattle back-to-back NFC champions, nothing to sneeze at in itself. But nonetheless, we've talked about what's going to happen to them.
So what you're saying is you're not predicting a Seattle Seahawks win over the Pittsburgh Steelers?
That is going to be a negative Ghost Rider.
Well, I guess, Sonny, we should talk about what's happening tomorrow night here on the MBL Network, as this game is pretty much over. The Seattle Seahawks are just going to hand the ball off and hope Zach Center doesn't put the pigskin on the ground. And even then, I don't think they're that worried about that. But we got the Super Bowl tomorrow night, Super Bowl for Season 27, one of our biggest shows. We'll be announcing the winner of our Game of the Year for Season 27. We'll have our Achievement and Media Excellence Award winner. We'll have our MBL Super Bowl halftime show, which we do every year. And, Sonny, I think we have a special pregame planned.
We do. We have a plan. We'll see if we can execute. Tomorrow night, the pregame will actually be a special live episode, highly debatable. And we'll see how that works out. And we'll maybe even carry that face cam straight into the game and really have a nice... well, we'll see what happens.
We're going to work real hard on that, but Highly Debatable is going to be going down before the game tomorrow. So if you haven't checked out the first 2 episodes, check that out on the network and vote for who you think wins each episode using the hashtag OSU wins, hashtag Sonny wins. Our live debate show, 2 face cams, and it's going to be a Super Bowl edition. And Sonny, I hear rumors started by me that there are going to be some dapper suits worn on the broadcast.
Yes, we will be looking quite dapper
Dapper's
and fresh, and we'll see. Now, you'll be quite sweaty because we know what happens when a fat guy wears a suit.
It's not good. It is not pretty. There's a studio light here. It will be unpleasant for me, but at the end of the day, you can basically only see my neck and head. You won't see the problems going down in the chestular, the sweaty regions. I'll be wearing. But do you think can you pull off the MBL hat with a suit?
That one's going to be tough. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe without a tie. Maybe without a tie.
This is why we need to get MBL branded ties, though. Like, let's get MBL branded ties. Wouldn't that be nice? I was thinking ties or polo shirts, because that'd be really cool.
Yeah, maybe like maybe even bow ties.
Oh, I can't wear a bow tie. Sorry, I can't. I end up looking like a
like religious reasons, or what's with that?
Every time I wear a bow tie, I look like the rejected member of a barbershop quartet. It's really bad.
Oh, you got the hair for that too, actually. That'd be cool. I don't have any hair, so that's a little different.
Highly debatable. Coming up tomorrow, the pregame show here on the NBL Network. 8:30, I believe, is the time we're going for the Super Bowl. But again, hit that subscribe button down below so you know each and every time we go live. And, of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Bomber League for all the game times and all the news and notes around the NBL. As the Seattle Seahawks are just kneeling this bad boy out. Minnesota just wants to get out of here without anyone else getting hurt. And Sonny, we have our Super Bowl matchup, the Steelers and the Seahawks. We've sort of been talking about it. I'm pretty sure we can make it official at this point. What are the interesting matchups you see in this game tomorrow night? Don't give away too much because we got that highly debatable show going on. But do you think the Seattle Seahawks team has a chance to come away with a victory tomorrow night?
I would put that chance about as high as that of the Pittsburgh Steelers busting a flat tire and them not making it to the game.
It's a good chance. You know, that if that happens, I think the Seattle Seahawks have a chance of victory, as they're going to take a delay a game. Because we just want to be here a little longer, folks. We love Minnesota. It's December in Minnesota. It's cold.
Yeah. Gotta hang out. Nowhere to be. Nowhere to be at all.
Nowhere to be at all, as can we just wrap a bow on this one? Can we just call the plays and let's get this bad boy over with? Because Dalvin Cook's over there holding his arm, still not looking good. It's real swollen. Teddy Bridgewater's arm is in multiple pieces with that dislocated elbow. It does not look good. And nobody here is very happy except for the small group of Seattle fans who decided it'd be a good idea to fly into Minneapolis to see a game in the middle of winter.
I think most of them were actually related to Zach Zenner. They all flew out here to see the Z-Train run this show, and that he did.
And there we go. We got triple zeros on the clock. The Seattle Seahawks are your NFC champions here in season 27. The big victory in Minnesota, 27-13. Congratulations to the Minnesota Vikings on a very good season, but Seattle will have an opportunity to defend their Super Bowl title against the Pittsburgh Steelers tomorrow night. 8:30 is when kickoff will be, with a special, highly debatable pregame show before that one. Check out the Twitter at Bomber League, or just follow us or hit that subscribe button here on YouTube so you know when we go live. We'll finalize times tonight. But Sonny, it's time to pick our player for the NBL Player of the Game. Here for broadcast number 149. That's the other thing. Broadcast 150 tomorrow. We're hitting a milestone at the Super Bowl once again. Sonny, a lot of choices here for player of the game. Russell Wilson really was good, but for me, it's the guy we talked about all day, Sonny. It's Zach Zenner. He set the tone. He had the touchdown that really broke this one open for the Seattle Seahawks, and he was, I think for everybody, incredibly surprising how effective he was on the ground.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Zach Zenner, He showed me, he showed everybody. He came out here and did exactly what he had to do to win the game, carried this team on his back, and shout out to the spin move that makes my spin move look all right.
Zach Zenner, your NBL Live Player of the Game here for broadcast 149. You can check out the archives of all of our Player of the Game selections on our website at 365.maddenbomberleague.com. You can check it out all the way back to broadcast number 1. You can also apply for the Madden Bomber League if you're interested in joining the ranks of the NBL. Sonny, the Super Bowl is set. It's the Steelers and the Seahawks. Pittsburgh, the Dynasty. Seattle looking for back-to-back championships. Storylines galore. Should be a great broadcast tomorrow night.
Yeah, a lot of good things to look forward to tomorrow night, and especially the AFC climbing back on top and regaining the NBL Super Bowl.
Sonny, are you going to, take claim for that Super Bowl? Like, everybody who's part of the AFC gets to, touch the Super Bowl trophy? Is that how this works?
Yeah, I mean, the NFC's been doing that all year, so we're going to stake a claim this year.
All right, well, I did not know this. Added benefit of being the AFC, I get to touch the Super Bowl trophy. It's the closest I'll ever get. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in to NBL Live Broadcast 149. The Super Bowl is set tomorrow night. We will see the Steelers and the Seahawks. Game time should be at 8:30, but follow us at Bomber League or hit that subscribe button down below. What a game. We appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. For my co-host, Sonny Weaver, I'm OSU. Your final score, once again, the Seattle Seahawks are your champions of the NFC. They win 27-13 in Minnesota. We'll see you tomorrow night for Super Bowl 27 here on NBL Live.